This message comes from Angie. Tackling a home project, Angie can connect you with pros who do such a good job you might ask them to be your kid's godfather. Don't do that. Just trust them to get the job done. Find a pro for your projects at Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
What is your milk allegiance? Are you 1%, 2%, oat milk, soy milk people? What's the vibe? What's going on?
Okay, well, I'm team soy milk.
Love it.
But I am flexible. I like coconut milk for ice cream.
I think of myself as milk agnostic, but because I have a 2.5-year-old at home, I only drink whole milk.
Wow. Okay, so I actually grew up drinking skim milk, which tastes like water. And then I realized I was lactose intolerant in college, so I started drinking soy milk then. I'll just drink it on its own. I just love it. I think it tastes great. Well, I'll tell you what, even though I have a strong love for alternative nut and grain milks, it feels like our government is trying to convince me to switch. The Trump administration is really pushing milk right now, whole milk in particular. For example, in January, the USDA account on X posted a picture, possibly AI generated, of President Trump with a milk mustache. The caption was, "Drink up, America." Hashtag drink whole milk. Or Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. posted what seems to be an AI video where when he drinks milk, it transports him to a nightclub. The caption is, "When you take that first sip of whole milk." In another video he did with Kid Rock, like in real life, they're drinking whole milk in a hot tub together after working out.
Just normal behavior.
Let that visual marinate, okay? Whole milk is also at the top of the new food pyramid. I really want to know, how do we make sense of this push for whole milk? Especially when milk has some unsavory ideological associations. To get into it, I'm joined by Yasmin Tayag, staff writer for The Atlantic, who covers science and the future of food. Yasmin, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And I also have Andrea Freeman, second century chair professor of law at Southwestern Law School and author of the book, Ruin Their Crops on the Ground, Politics of Food in the United States, from the Trail of Tears to School Lunch. Andrea, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here with you too.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. Okay, so I just want to straight out ask, what is going on with this milk push? What do you make of it? Yasmin, you first.
The whole milk push has a lot of nutritionists scratching their heads.
Okay.
Because whole milk, compared to its skim relatives, is packed with saturated fat. And we know that saturated fat is linked to the risk of heart disease. It raises cholesterol.
Yeah, I feel like nutrition science is never settled. And it's complicated, but diets high in saturated fats are linked with negative impacts on people's health.
But the recent dietary guidelines underwent a huge revamp. The biggest thing we've seen is that the traditional food pyramid has been turned upside down. And at the top are meats, dairy, in particular whole milk. So part of the justification for this inverted pyramid is the belief that saturated fats aren't actually that bad for you. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been pushing this for a long time.
Well, that makes me think about the FDA commissioner, Marty McCary. He declared the quote unquote war on whole milk over. He said, quote, "We're ending the 50-year war on natural saturated fat. Remarkably, schools by regulation are not supposed to have a certain amount of whole milk. That makes no sense scientifically. It's been nutrition guidance by the government based not on evidence, but on dogma." End quote. I mean, our ideas about fat's role in our diets have shifted a lot since I was a kid. I grew up in the ground turkey, skim milk 1990s, but Fat's not really a boogeyman anymore. And as you said, Yasmin, there's still evidence that too much saturated fat is not great for us. It's interesting that all of this was brought up under this idea from the current FDA commissioner, that there was a war on whole milk.
I think the example of school lunches is interesting because part of the argument for doing so is that it'll get kids to drink more milk because it tastes better than low-fat milk, which is true. What I think is just so funny about the passionate push for whole milk is that, like, it doesn't really matter what kind of milk you drink because people don't drink that much milk. And so the saturated fat content, whether it has a lot of saturated fat or not, like whether you're drinking whole or skim, like that alone is not going to make a huge impact on your health. Throughout all of my reporting on this whole milk controversy, what it really comes down to for me is like, this is not really about milk. So what I think this whole milk craze really boils down to is this philosophical belief that what is natural is best. And, you know, this is an idea that's been kicking around American food for over a century. People have argued about raw versus pasteurized milk for over 100 years. And I think the push for drinking whole milk is tied to this much broader view that the Trump administration espouses, which is that America can be great again if we can go back to this imagined historical era where the cows were roaming in the pastures, there was no processing, and the population was much whiter. This is what I think this big push for milk is really all about. Going back to that time that didn't really exist.
Okay, so I wonder, is there like a business reason for this whole milk push? Like, I know there's been reporting by Stat News that the new dietary recommendations were shaped by a scientific review panel, and some of the panelists had ties to the dairy industry, like they had accepted grant funding or had recent financial relationships with dairy groups. You can hear the USDA's response to this at the end of the episode, but is there any sort of link there?
There hasn't been any further explanation of how those reviewers got to have those roles. But yes, reporting has shown that there were definitely ties to the dairy and meat industries. Certainly, the dairy industry could use a boost. Milk drinking has been in decline for like over 50 years.
Really?
Yeah. Americans are just not drinking that much milk anymore. What every nutritionist has told me, humans don't have to drink cow milk. There's no reason for us to be drinking cow milk.
The calcium that's in milk is because of the cows eating grass and getting calcium that way. And so when you drink cow's milk, you have this kind of middle person of the cow where you could just eat greens and other kinds of foods that have calcium in them yourself and get it directly. So we really don't need cow milk to get calcium.
Andrea, is there a story of milk promotion or government ties to the industry that precede this moment that we're seeing right now?
There's a really long history of the government supporting the dairy industry. That means actually giving money to dairy farmers.
Like through subsidies or?
Yeah, so guaranteeing that they're going to get a certain price. And if there's a fall or a decline, the government will make it up. And so what's happened because of these subsidies is that there's been a massive surplus of milk in the United States. And the government has to take that milk, which they then turn into cheese, and do something with it. So they started storing cheese all over cold storages in the US. So they still didn't know what to do with it. They said they were going to maybe throw it in the ocean. But then what they said is, wait, we can give this to poor people. So they started taking trucks and getting huge blocks of cheese and going to poor neighborhoods. They give it to Indian reservations through the food distribution program for Indian reservations, even though indigenous people also cannot, for the most part, tolerate drinking milk. What they've done is subsidize an industry that the demand has fallen for to a great extreme. But then instead of just saying, all right, this market is not working, they just prop it up.
We're going to take a quick break. But first, if any of you are finding It's Been a Minute for the first time, welcome. I hope you're enjoying the show and that you come back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning for brand new audio episodes. And now every Tuesday for video episodes. If you're enjoying this one, we did one like it last week about whether health trackers are making us more self-obsessed and why they're being promoted by Maha figures. Coming up after the break.
Sort of neo-Nazi group went to protest, and the form of their protest was to take off their shirts and get huge gallons of milk and chug them.
Stick around.
This message comes from NPR sponsor, the Capital One Venture X Business Card. Every business owner needs a serious business travel card that can keep up with their needs. With the Capital One Venture X Business Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase, no matter where your business may take you. Plus, big purchasing power means you can spend more and earn more. The Capital One Venture X Business Card. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Before doing research for this episode, I guess I didn't really realize that milk is not like a politically neutral beverage and that it had this history of being tied to ideas about racial superiority. I mean, obviously, we don't know if milk is deliberately being used as a symbol in this way right now. But Andrea, walk me through the history of these ties. Where does it start?
This goes back to the 1910s and 20s. There was a biochemist, his name is E.V. McCollum, and he began doing experiments with milk and started publishing about milk being a superior product. And Herbert Hoover, who was head of the Food Administration at that time, that caught his eye. And he started sending McCollum around the country to make speeches promoting milk, saying, y'all should drink milk. It's so healthy. It's a protective food. And also, it's really great because white people and Aryans drink it, and they're the smartest and the strongest. And if you drink milk, you'll be the best of people, the white people. And then his speeches got published in National Dairy Council pamphlets. They got repeated in all agricultural histories and things like that. So the message got widespread thanks to this biochemist and Herbert Hoover. And then we see a revival of this association between milk and whiteness and white superiority. White nationalist groups kind of embraced the symbol of milk again, starting around 2017, 2018. There was a very public demonstration outside an art installation of Shia LaBeouf, the actor who opposed Trump. And
you said so many different words then, and I want to make sure that the audience is processing them, and I am as well.
Shia LaBeouf just snuck in there.
He always does.
Shia LaBeouf, the actor, made an anti-Trump art installation.
In New York.
And then how does milk relate to this?
Okay, so then sort of neo-Nazi group went to protest the installation, and the form of their protest was to take off their shirts and get huge gallons of milk and chug them and let the milk run down their bare chests.
That sounds nasty.
It's something. So this was their way of demonstrating their political agenda.
And I'm just remembering that incident involved one protester taking a swig of milk from his jug and then saying into a camera, an ice-cold glass of pure racism.
They weren't subtle.
Yeah, I know around then a bunch of like far-right figures like Richard Spencer put milk emojis in their Twitter bios. More recently, I've seen when some people are accused of being racist on X, like when they want to make it known in a cheeky way that they're being like knowingly racist, they'll sometimes post GIFs or images of a big milk jug or someone chugging milk. I've seen that pop up. But I did not catch this moment back in 2017, 2018. I don't know what I was doing.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Don't regret it.
I wasn't really tapped in. But yeah, I have seen that kind of used as like a symbol or a dog whistle for white supremacy or racism, like more recently. I also just want to acknowledge the fact that like It's not just like the whiteness of milk that kind of is connected to this white supremacist thinking or ideology. It's like the fact that white people tend to be less intolerant of lactose, or fewer white people are lactose intolerant than perhaps people of other backgrounds, that is like a symbol of racial superiority, like the fact that white people can digest cow's milk.
Yeah.
That's mixed up in this too, right?
Right. So they'll have maps that are posted online that show which areas of the world where people can digest milk after childhood, which is mostly Scandinavia and Northern Europe. And to them, this is a symbol of superiority.
I wonder though, conversely, like, I don't know, I'm also thinking about the popularity of non-dairy milks in recent years. Like non-dairy milks, I feel like have been culturally associated with progressive people, queer people. How did that happen?
Well, part of this movement is the association of femininity with soy and estrogen, right? So there was this whole idea of the soy boy. The idea is that if you consume soy, it has estrogen in it. And if you're male, then that will feminize you and therefore make you less of a man. So cow milk being associated with this sort of rugged male individual, dominant of nature, all of that. And the soy boy being the effeminate, weak, as you said, queer or alternative, not as heavy with the toxic masculinity.
Right, but that's kind of a myth. Soy does have phytoestrogens in it. These are plant compounds that mimic human estrogen, but studies have shown that even consuming a lot of it won't alter men's hormones. But Yasmin, how do you see this association show up in culture?
I think what we're also seeing is under that broad woke umbrella, woke left umbrella, sort of reclaiming or like poking fun at terms like soy boy. Like I see social media posts from queer people that are like, I got my latte with the gay milk, which I think is very much just like a response to the vilification of alt milks.
Something else I wonder too is like at some point on this show, we discussed the sort of gendered view that people hold around like, who cares about the environment? Like it's seen as feminized or less masculine to care about the environment and climate change and things like that. Cow milk has a much higher environmental footprint than many alternative milks. I think some people factored that into their consumption, and other people may read into that choice concern about the environment and thus kind of project a very gendered idea about who's drinking what and what that means onto that choice.
Yeah, anything against animal exploitation or mining the earth for all its resources, I think is coded feminine. It's also, using milk is a way of extracting feminine resources, right? Because obviously these are female cows who are having their milk stolen. And so it's another way of dominating nature, but also female nature.
Sorry, I'm processing that. I hadn't even thought about the gender of the cows. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the dairy industry is in shambles. Like only about 2 in 10 people drink milk by itself rather than like in cereal or with coffee or tea. There just aren't a lot of people drinking milk these days. I wonder, do you think this campaign will work?
No.
I'm not the target audience for this, so I don't know.
I think like it'll work in the sense that probably more whole milk will be sold and consumed because it is going to be in the schools. But I can't imagine that Americans' milk drinking habits are going to like shift back toward drinking, 4 glasses of milk a day. And I don't really think that is the point.
Yasmin, Andrea, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Yasmin Tayag, staff writer for The Atlantic who covers science and the future of food, and Andrea Freeman, second century chair, professor of law at Southwestern Law School, and author of the book Ruin Their Crops on the Ground: The Politics of Food in the United States, from the Trail of Tears to School Lunch. Also, going back to whether the dairy industry had influence on including whole milk in the new guidelines, when Yasmin asked in her reporting, the USDA said the evidence was, quote, evaluated based solely on scientific rigor, study design, consistency of findings, and biological plausibility. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Liam McBain.
This episode was edited by
Nina Patak.
Engineering support came from
Damian Herring.
Our supervising producer is
Barton Girdwood.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
And a super special thanks to my colleague Netta Ulaby at NPR's Culture Desk for her help in conceptualizing this episode. All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from Jerry. Many people are overpaying on car insurance. Why? Switching providers can be a pain. Jerry helps make the process painless. Jerry is the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/NPR.
This message comes from eBay. The worst part about loving cars might just be buying them and all the parts. From Toyotas to Aston Martins, eBay has thousands of cars and the largest online selection of vehicle parts and accessories. eBay, things people love. This message comes from Rosetta Stone. If you have travel coming up, like a spring break or summer vacation, imagine arriving actually understanding the language. Rosetta Stone has been the trusted leader in language learning for over 30 years, with millions of users and 25 languages to choose from. Ready to start learning a new language this spring? Visit rosettastone.com/NPR today to explore Rosetta Stone and choose the language that's right for you.